Welcome to another episode of Pizza Punk. My name is Jeff, Pizza Jeff. I'm your host, and I got two very special knuckleheads with me. I got Pizza Boone and Sean Q. Oh God, someone just crashed down there. Sean Q King, with me in the house.
Super pizza, right?
Yes, two. I would say they're. Oh shit! Was that my daughter?
What do you got? Roosters in the house?
No, my daughter. I guess my wife. No, my wife has a laundry. She has the kid. The kid just bumped her head. No, it's cool. It's cool.
It's like a CNN interview.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite blooper of any like Zoom thing ever, where that kid
what? Kid's coming in the door behind. Oh,
yeah.
If you imagine.
Yeah.
No, I just heard a loud crash. I don't know if you could hear it because the mic cancels out. I heard a large crash. I thought something fell over, and then I heard a little baby voice whimpering. And then the laundry room's over there. So my wife was in the laundry room trying to be quiet because she knew I was recording. I had no idea she was even there. She's like a
But in reality, no one else is in the house. Yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna get nightmares. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So welcome guys to the show. I asked you to be on the show because you both have the gift of gab, and you're great guys, and you're well read, well watched. You guys have been collaborating for years and years and years. And listen, you're filmmakers, but I would just say also in general, content creation. You guys do a lot of content creation in a variety of mediums and formats and things and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, man, welcome to the show. Okay. I guess that's my introduction. Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, man. This is cool. This is fun.
I think that Sean wins with the background situation, although Pizza just raised his R2D2 mug, which I think is pretty cool. That was his attempt to counteract Sean's amazing.
Sheen, I called you Sheen. I've known you for like 30 years. I called you Sheen. Sean had to put all that crap in the background. I just need to go like this once.
Yeah. And I gave you both equal attention about your things because of it.
Okay, fine, Pete. How about this?
Well, how about this? That's all I have, dude.
I have that right.
Let's not make this a competition because I'll lose.
I didn't think things would evolve this quickly, gentlemen. My lord.
Well, no, it took like 6 or 7 months into this, this normalcy of doing this.
Yeah.
So I figured, might as well. We're all doing it from our like kitchen tables or our living room coffee tables, but I'm like, what the fuck, let's spice it up.
Let's make my background look the coolest out of any background. He's got a movie theater, in his house.
Yeah, people. He has behind that shelf that he has placed. There is a movie theater there. And
Sean built a movie theater. It's sick, dude. The seats, he's got these like killer seats. This couch, the most comfortable couch that you sink in, and popcorn machine. He has an actual popcorn machine. What's that salt that you put on that gives you
Lavacol? It's the stuff they use at the multiplexes. That's like
extra ingredient.
Yeah, it's like pure cancer powder, and it makes you make you feel like you're like in a desert, like fucking dying.
Yeah, dude, but it's so good.
Yeah, you actually taste your cells mutating as you eat the popcorn.
Yeah, you feel the cancer like bubbling up from your throat.
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
But it's one of those things, and then you could respond with, "Hey, everything gives you cancer, so why not enjoy? Why not enjoy it?"
From like the 70s or 80s, where they didn't even know what cancer was back then. Right? They really didn't. Like not until the early 2010s did it really become an issue.
Do they even know now? I don't know.
No, nothing that bleach can't just kill. So,
well, I built
this. It takes a while.
I built this thing because, I didn't know that we were going to be shut down or anything. But it's like, it's wonderful to have now because, movie theaters aren't going to come back the way we.
I miss going to movie theaters.
I had the Alamo season pass. That was my.
I don't miss. I still get. I get a little. I turn into an asshole when someone turns their phone on and the light. I could just see it in the side of my eyes. Like,
oh my god, me too.
I don't miss that.
I think that's why Jeff and I are like exclusive Alamo Drafthouse members or frequenters.
Let me ask you a question, not to pull rank on you, but what was your rank?
Oh shit! There's a rank. Oh, my rank.
Yeah. What was your rank?
I didn't get a rank. I'm not trying to outrank.
Well, what's like the? I'm like an admiral, dude. I'm like a captain or an admiral in the Brooklyn downtown.
Brass, baby.
He goes to the Brooklyn
brass.
one, but the Yonkers one. You live like what, 10 minutes away from it? I
live very close to it, and I got to tell you, you have invited me to some screening sessions in the past, and it's always I'm never available. And it's always in Long Island. And the combination of those two things, because I got to tell you, if you lived 10 minutes away, like the Alamo, you might just have to build like a little doggy bed for me. I'd just be there.
I wish that was the case. You could live within the walls or something, you know?
Oh, yeah, it would be such a conversation piece. Like, oh, that's just Jeff.
You got rats in the wall? No, it's Jeff.
That's Jeff. I'm sorry, people. What were you saying?
Once in a while, you know.
You do have he could sleep over. You do have like a bed set up in your theater too.
Yeah, I got a real like pull out couch and shit, and like it's like there's a private bathroom there as a shower. But everybody who comes to visit,
tempting me, I might leave my wife. Stop.
Well, the thing is, I say, come on over. That you got your whole place, like it's all private. And then they come down here and they see like He-Man toys everywhere and fucking like monster masks and shit. And they're like, yeah, I'll sleep on the couch upstairs. Fuck you, you suck.
And girls, when they come down, they're just like, are you here to kill me or are you?
Well, yeah, they wind up
really? Are you sure about that? It's not like you don't have a flood pump down there. You should have a flood pump installed down there. You know, like you need that.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Girls come downstairs and they're just like, they love it. They love it.
Yeah.
That was really vulgar in 2020.
No, they don't. He doesn't need a flood pump. They actually dry up. They actually dehumidify the basement for him when they.
No, when you have a base like a real geek basement or a real geek room, like I would never say like man cave. I hate that expression. Like it's for everybody, but if it's like severely geeked out, like you like, and the girl, like the guy or girl isn't totally down, you got to warn them. Like, look, you know, when you come to my house, you're gonna see dolls there. You're gonna see like monsters that it's like. And if they're like, oh, that doesn't bother me, then you know they're a keeper. But if they're like,
that's that might be like a 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th date where you just go, hey, you're coming over. I'm just letting you know. Geek room. There's a geek room in the house. No, like geek room. What do you mean geek room? Do you mean like in like that old timey fashion sort of way where there's a biting off heads or like no toys in the room?
There's an explanation to be had. Definitely, there's a disclaimer when someone comes.
A disclaimer, I think, is a good way. A preamble, a disclaimer is something. But you know what, man? I'm supremely jealous because it's always been my dream to do that. Just to have that VHS store feeling in my basement. I see Day of the Dead. I see Conan. I'm trying to read. I see the Running Man. I'm sure so much thought went into like which boxes are going to face out too, because that was a thing too. I don't know about you guys, but I used to stock that stuff. You got to just decide what do you want on display.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Really,
you flip them around once in a while. It's like
right. You rotate them.
I used to work at Tower Records in Huntington, Long Island, and we would do pushbacks on the CDs, but I would always work and put out we also sold VHS tapes, and I'd always face out the ones that I would recommend personally because where I work, they didn't have like employee recommendations, but I would turn around the Dead Alives and I would turn around the movies that I would be like, you should check this out. One time we had a Play from Kid and Play come into the store, and I just put up a whole row of House Party VHS tapes, and he comes up. I don't know what he purchased, but he came up, and of course I recognized him. I was like, I look up and I'm like, oh, yo, what's up, Play? And he's like, oh, what's up, man? And I was like, I just put out a whole row of House Party out in the back. They're all there for everyone to pick up. And he was just like, oh, thanks, man, thanks. But that's I met Play from Kid and Play.
That's awesome. So let's do like an official introduction, and then I'm going to ask you my thesis question, and we'll just riff off of that. So firstly, I met these guys. They used to have a show, awesome show called the Pitch It Movie Podcast, and basically, it's basically the greatest idea ever. They would get in the room. They had their boy Will. Shout out to Will. It was the three of them, and they would have a guest.
Will.
Right.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Will. And
she's about to get married, so yeah, R.I.P.
Oh, that's right. Like,
oh, that's right. He's
Will's not dead, but I'm just gonna go with this joke. I don't know why they're no, congratulations to Will. That's awesome. But yeah, the three of you would have a guest on, and then what happens is it's like the most instant, it's like instant gratification. You get to basically write a movie right then and there. Sky's the limit. You can put whatever you want in it. It's like imaginative theater, and you do it for yourself to make yourself laugh. And when I came on, it was right when the whole Fire Island debacle had happened. The Fire Festival had happened. And me being the Nicolas Cage lover that I am, we went with the Fire. It was Fire Island, but spelled F-Y-R-E. And it was so much fun to do that, to put that together. And you guys have such fertile imaginations. It's great.
It was like your pitch was like Lost, but on fire at the Fire Festival.
And yeah. Directed by Werner Herzog, written by Stephen King.
That's right.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it was like I guess it came out to be like the Fantasy Island remake before the remake was even made.
Oh, right.
Where it's
so many times,
so bad, dude. Oh my god.
We would pitch the most ridiculous movies, and sometimes they eventually came to life. Like they would come to reality. Like something similar. We think that someone high up would have heard one of our pitches, and they pitched it themselves.
So let me ask you guys a question about this specifically. You guys have both made movies, feature-length films, sometimes together, sometimes apart, whatever, in all your stuff. And just if you're not familiar with these gentlemen, they've done things like the Ghouligans. I had actually heard of the Ghouligans before. The Ghouligans was on my radar, so I thought that was kind of cool that these Ghouligan guys are doing this podcast. Sean, you shot films, like a film called Cigarettes and stuff. Yeah, there's a Void, right? Void. Yeah. And Pete played a werewolf named Wolfgang.
Yeah.
It was so great. So great. We were just talking about that before, how, the idea of acting, having to act through makeup, not an easy feat. And Pete, you directed a movie called after the Bouncing Soul song, Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics, right?
Mm-hmm. And Sean actually starred in it. Sean co-produced, and he acted in it.
That's true.
There you go. And you can watch it. Actually, it's where is it? Where's the best place to watch that? Truly.
There's actually two versions of it on YouTube.
Why?
Well, there's the 2006 version, which I did like test screenings with, and that had music that I didn't have permission to use. So there's a 2006 version.
Made of my existence.
And then I took like the next 2 or 3 years, and we had a friend do compose original score music to it. And that's the 2010 release. And that's a little bit more streamlined. That's a little bit cleaner version, which I still prefer the 2006 version because that's more punk rock. That was completely DIY. And we made it for under $1,000, and it's an hour and 40-minute movie, a narrative movie.
It took a long time to do, and it
took a long time to make. Yeah,
2006, was it even done? Were we even done shooting at 2006, or we had like a couple more years?
Yeah, no. So we started shooting in 2002. Even before that, to go way before that, Sean and I were on a public access show on Long Island called Slacker TV, the Slack Pack, and that's how we actually met. Sean and I went to the same high school, but we didn't really know each other. We weren't friends. He was really scary to me.
I beat him up. He doesn't remember me kicking his ass and throwing him off.
Yeah, you're the kid who was drawing monsters on desk, and then I'd be like scared because like this drug addict kid just drew a scary ass monster on my desk, and that's how I knew who Sean was. But then after that, he was making his horror movies. He was making his own like DIY horror movies, and that's how I recognized his talent through there. And asked him to join our public access show.
Well, our high school was great. Our high school had like the most advanced like television production studio out of like any high school in like our area. So they would let the teachers like or professors, whatever, they would just let us come in and cut our own movies, and we would cut class and just stay in the editing bay all day and take out cameras on the weekends and go shoot movies, come in Monday, cut again, and just stay in the studio cutting the footage all day long. So it was like we were like part-time or full-time filmmakers in high school, just like not going to class, but rather making the movies in the TV studio where nobody would find us. It was great.
And you were also, and then you guys also did, I don't know if this is before, I don't know where this falls in the timeline, but you also did this Long Island serial killer movie, of which I've seen, I think 40% of.
Yeah. It's a ghost story movie. It's not a serial killer movie, is it?
I'm sorry. I don't know. It wasn't an anthology.
It's an anthology.
I just remember someone getting hung by the neck. That was in the first story, right? And they're hanging out at a diner, and there's.
Yeah,
I remember that.
That pickle looks fucking delicious, by the way.
Yeah, this is actually a cucumber.
Give me that. Oh, it's a cucumber.
That cucumber crunch is like makes.
It looks like one of those. Looks like one of those.
It doesn't have a nice crunch.
Yeah,
bro. There's nothing like this. It's pretty funny too. Kind of like that movie Shoot 'Em Up from 2007.
Oh yeah.
I just keep cucumbers in my pocket. I just pull them out and start eating them. People are just like, "What?" I'm just like, "Yeah." You know,
he was supposed to be Bugs Bunny in that movie. Actually,
yeah. And
is that why? Is that what that was about?
Yeah.
It was based on a Looney Tunes.
That's a good movie, dude. It's such a good movie. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, Giamatti's supposed to be like Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam.
That makes so much sense.
Now you got to go watch it again and be like, "This is the Looney Tunes cartoon. This is so crazy."
I think you guys love that movie because I think I'm one of the few people who like really dug that movie.
I love
that movie.
Yeah, I love it. But I took a girlfriend at the time. She got like a movie pass, and I was like, "We got to see this movie, Shoot 'Em Up." And she's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Trust me, it's gonna be good." And it wasn't good at all. She's like, "I spent my fucking gift card on that piece of shit movie." I was like, "Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible." Then I went home. I was like ordering the DVD like a few
so bad, sweetheart. So bad.
Yeah.
Right? Clive Owen had a moment. He had like
that was his moment. That was the teetering moment, though. That was like he's gonna do this or he's gonna do this. And
he also did Children of Men, and he did Sin City. Those were all around the same time. That was the Clive Owen, and he did Closer too. So that was like the Clive Owen,
he took advantage of that moment.
Yeah,
right. Hold on. Let's hold on. I want to finish my little just our backstory here for a minute, just to qualify. So right. So you guys have done a bunch of stuff. Then you did the Ghouligans, which is like just so it's so wonderful and zany, and like that should be on like Adult Swim at Cartoon Network. You know what I mean? It's just like that kind of show. So perfect for that sort of environment. And I really hope that you do. I was telling Pete off air that I hope you guys do more. And if you ever do, friggin' you have my sword in any way, shape, or form. I'd love to be involved with that.
Well, I wanted to, because before Sean joined us, you asked me if I had sunglasses. And I grabbed a pair of sunglasses. So Sean, I bought these sunglasses as a possible if Wolfgang ever comes back. Because we always had an issue.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like when we act, so Sean's character Void is covered like this. And then he had contacts on, so you would not know that Sean was on.
There's like no eye acting. Yeah, there's no eye acting, and then Wolfgang can't.
I was covered like this, and then I had sunglasses on for 10 years. So I'm like,
you're doing everything with your mouth. Luckily, you got a great smile, so you're acting. Everything is here. Oh, come on, show us your teeth there. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, look at those pearly whites. This Zoom screen.
Another sidebar. So before quarantine started, I was talking to Jeff about a project, and he asked me if I could look older because I'm in my 40s and I look like a child. So I started growing like a mustache and facial hair, and I had it up until last week.
Whoa, you kept it the whole time?
I kept the Jeff Frumess mustache for this part.
Committed to you.
So I shaved because next week our friend Will is getting married on Halloween, and he has a Halloween themed party.
That
and
guy would get married on Halloween. That's perfect.
Yeah, and I'm going as Fester from the Addams Family. So I had to. I feel like I'm missing half of my face because I had the Wolfgang goatee, which I've had since 2005, and then the Jeff Frumess mustache going, and now it's like I feel like I'm half a person right now. But I'm gonna be Fester next week.
Man, you're more like a person and a quarter, man. And I mean that like in like a beautiful, wonderful way, like personality way. So
stop. Wait, one more compliment and then stop.
No, I can compliment you guys further because you both did. Wait, you both did two other things that really impressed me. You've had a long association with the Bouncing Souls, and you both have done really cool collaborations with them. Pete, you directed a documentary for their 30th anniversary that you let me see the preview for that. It was awesome.
Fantastic.
Freaking fantastic. I loved it. As a Souls fan, I loved it. As a casual Souls fan, I wouldn't call myself a diehard, but it was funny. I bumped into Pete at a Bouncing Souls show because they were playing with my favorite band, TSOL. What a great bill that was. And I saw Pete, and then, it was funny. I didn't say hello to him yet, but I went into the bathroom and he was in the bathroom. There was some sort of thing where I felt like you had thought maybe that I'd followed you into the bathroom, and I felt really uncomfortable about it. And I might have even acknowledged it or brought that up at that time.
No, I saw you. I think I felt because like you had done our podcast already.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to the show, but like,
right, yeah, we did not.
You were like down washing your face or something, so you didn't look up. You didn't see me, and I just kind of stood behind you in the mirror like this, like, hey.
Oh, maybe I don't know. There was some weird.
Oh shit! What's up, man?
Yeah. No, but it was really great to see you. Yeah, and you too, Sean. You have collaborated with Greg from the Bouncing Souls. He has a band with his wife called Playdate, and Greg and Sean, who, by the way, this ties into the Ghouligans too. In addition to being a filmmaker renaissance man, he builds these insane models. Can build all this stuff, masks and models and things, and yeah. So you did that for the Playdate, one of the Playdate videos. I think
Surf's Up, Pete. Yeah, Pete directed Surf's Up. I helped produce it and shot it. So
I'm sorry, correction.
Yeah,
yes,
we're always Pete's like. It's funny because like we knew Pete got in touch with the Bouncing Souls because one of our cable access shows was on Manhattan Cable Access. Like this is what, like 2002, 01?
2001. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going back like, fucking 20 years. And I think it was Brian like emailed the Slack, like, cause we'd put the Juno email address on the end of the
Juno. Wow.
And I think we'd steal their music all the time. We would steal all punk, like localish punk rock bands that we loved, and that would be the soundtrack to our Slacker show. And then they, like Brian or somebody wrote in like, "Hey, what's up? My name is Brian. I'm in a band called the Bouncing Souls," and we were like, "Duh, we've been going to your show since like '96, like fucking, of course."
Wow.
And we were like, and then over the years, Pete kept in touch, and then Brian and Shanti came in, and they were like. And we were always trying to be like drop subtle hints like, hey, we make all kinds of videos, like even music videos and films of all kinds, like trying to like plant that like an earworm in their fucking ear. And then Greg and Shanti had their side band, and then they asked us to the Ghouligans, which you can watch on Amazon Prime, the Ghouligans on Amazon Prime.
I should put that
and they let us shoot a monster, what was it called?
Dance Like a Monster.
Dance Like a Monster. So it was all kinds of monsters dancing, and their song was great, and it's perfect for children. And
what documentary was I just watching? And you guys, you were in Scream. You guys were in Scream Queen. Scream.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For like 2 seconds. That was great.
Frames. Yeah, we were in there.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Great doc. That's
an awesome documentary. That came out really so good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we were totally drunk when they interviewed us, though. So I think most of it got cut out because we were like trashed when they interviewed us.
It's a great feeling, though, to like be like, "Whoa, cool! I'm in this thing for 2 seconds. That's fun."
That's one of the surprise cameos that we've had, where a lot of people have seen that documentary. Go check it. I haven't seen it yet, but like, Scream is about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and how that was one of the first like LGBTQ movies, right? Kind of.
Accident. It's like it's
Horror
weird.
movie.
It's like wait,
Horror
hold on.
movies,
I
right.
really want to talk.
Yeah.
We should just talk about this. Let's just talk about it now. We'll
Let's
circle
do it.
back.
Let's do
Go
it.
ahead. Yeah. It's essentially it started off as like a pejorative against those communities, and then it's become embraced over the years by those communities and completely done a 180. And it's just I knew nothing about it. I did not know. I didn't even pick up on those cues the one time I had seen Freddy 2. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really aware. Then I watched the documentary and was just completely blown away. I love the title too, Scream, Queen. It's just such a perfect.
Well, that's because he was always kind of mocked for that high-pitched scream he has.
Right.
But
Right.
also he's the main reason why that movie transcended that stigma. You know, it flipped it, like you said, because he whether he really knew it or not, he was fully embracing that aspect of what was sort of on the page, but and then kind of half in the execution of shooting that movie. But it was it's pretty a lot of it's on him, and thankfully so, because like he's the actual gay guy, you know, in the production. So it's like, and I think he felt slighted by that too, but like that's why that movie is so special now, because it was
I just
like
love Clue Gallagher, man. He's just so great in it.
like you, when I was a kid, I was just like, why are they in leather? Like, why is his ass getting whipped? Like I was freaked out as a kid, you know? But then growing older, it's like, oh shit, there's a whole different side to this whole thing. And it's fantastic. Yeah.
Subtext. There's just a ton of subtext in it, and it got flipped around, and I think it's cool. It's great. And now what I'm interested in, and here's what kind of has me curious is I saw Sleepaway Camp. I do 31 days of Halloween horror movies for the month of October. The goal is you watch a movie. You have to watch a minimum of 31 movies. That's how I do it. So it doesn't mean I have to hit a movie a day. Sometimes I miss a day, but I try to watch as many as I can in the 31 days. And then I was like, 31? I'm going to go as high as I possibly can. My record is 50. This year, I'm trying to do 60. I'm currently at 47. I watched Sleepaway Camp for my first film of this season. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I'd never seen Sleepaway Camp. And so my question is,
you just saw it this year? You just saw it like
first time. First time.
That's a good one, man.
I got to tell you, no, it was definitely good. I've seen 2 and 3. By the way, again, not to objectify women in 2020, but I just want to say that Pamela Springsteen is foxy as hell.
Yeah,
I don't know why. she just I think she is foxy, really, really foxy.
And that actually is Bruce Springsteen's sister, right? That actually is his sister. Just like
and I'm like, damn, you're cute. Like, whoa, like I don't know.
Especially when she's like laughing and then stuffing someone down an outhouse toilet, you know, and she's smiling. You're just like, that's so sweet. You know?
Cute. It's so sweet what you're setting that person on fire. I love it. But my question is Sleepaway Camp, what is the trans community? And I put it on my Facebook. I was curious to see if any trans people that I'm friends with would enlighten me. I don't want to like just knock on a trans person's door and be like, hey, what do you think of this movie? I just was generally putting it out there as a, a cisgendered white, guy. I just want to know, like, what does the trans community think about this movie? I could see it going both ways. I could see how it could be incredibly offensive. And I can also see how it could, in the same way that Freddy 2 has become this movie to champion, I could see how Sleepaway Camp might fit some of those boxes. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying some of them, but I honestly don't know.
I would imagine that I've seen it many times, and I would imagine that, and it only really this aspect only really resonated recently, for me at least, where Angela, she's trans, but not by her own choice. She's completely re-identified by her crazy aunt.
Yep.
So it's like, I mean, that is horrific on its own.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah. So if you're a trans person and you're kind of stuck wondering or conflicted about that, it's like, that's like good horror for somebody who's like struggling, because it's like, oh my God, this is like, because like, what's your worst fear? Like, that's what people respond to in horror movies or whatever. It's like, what would you do in that situation? That's your worst scenario. And for I don't know a lot of trans people, and I wouldn't I wouldn't pretend to assume what they think, but like being forced into that from when you're like tiny, when you're a child, and being like forced to like reassign your sexual identity is fucking terrifying, man.
Well, what's interesting is it's kind of I mean, that's what, there's one thing I do know is that there's a lot of suicide prevalent in some of those communities for this specific reason of being trapped in a body or an identity or whatever, however you want to put it. Again, and I apologize if I'm not using the exact correct terminology, being trapped in the wrong situation, whatever it may be. And it's kind of like, that's kind of, I guess, what's happening in sleepaway camp of like, you're being assigned maybe what you aren't really, or what you aren't inside. Maybe it's like the idea that Angela's a boy is supposed to even almost be more not meta, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? Like inside, it's sort of like an inverse of the situation. And, there's that commentary. So again, I would love to, I don't know. I would love to be enlightened because I don't know anything. I want to know.
Just on a general surface, it was like clearly the first slasher or horror movie where the slasher is both male and female, or just like
that ending reveal still gives me nightmares. Like,
it's terrifying.
Their face
terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Where she's like, she has that face on, and it's like,
and the way they did it, like pre-CGI, the way they
they used the mask.
She was in real life, she was a teenager, like she was like what?
She was like,
I read about it. She was 13.
13?
Yeah.
A funny story about how they got that shot of the naked guy wearing the mask of Felissa Rose was they couldn't get anybody to do it, so they got a local college kid and got him drunk.
Right, he had to get drunk. I read about that.
Wow.
And they put the mask on him, and they got that shot, and it's fucking legendary.
I had known that this was the ending, and yet still, at like 12:30, when I start my thing, I start the first movie on September 30th. The moment it turns midnight is October 1st. They got it. I mean, you can get a movie, fit a movie in before you go to bed. I got to get started. So I started with Sleepaway Camp. So at like 1:30 in the morning, I'm just like, I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, that is
and then you didn't fall asleep until 5 o'clock the next day.
I was like, okay, let's start another movie.
Yeah. That's loaded with it's so entertaining, so bizarre, so sleazy, and so like wild.
There's a lot going on in that movie.
There's so much going on. It's fantastic. It's honestly,
I need to find a podcast where some LGBTQ people are discussing this and hearing it from their perspective and what they think about it. Cause that's honestly that's what interests me the most, because I'll be honest, cause I'm watching the movie and I'm seeing both sides. I'm seeing, oh, I could see how this could be embraced. Oh, I could see how offensive that is. And I just don't know what is what.
I'd love to see the filmmakers behind Scream Queen do a documentary on.
Holy hell yes, I would love that.
That would be an
interesting. They would give it the tender loving care that it deserves, man. Because they really, I mean, what they did for and highlighting what Mark Patton has become, this icon, and talking and normalizing, his situation, having AIDS, and like, because a lot of people don't know anybody who has AIDS, and being like, starting his presentation by talking about this and be like, well, you know what? I'm someone who has AIDS. So now someone who has AIDS. I think that's so cool. I just think that's amazing. So progressively like incredible. And like, that's what's interesting about the horror community. And here's another thing that's interesting too. I was having a talk with a friend, and we were talking about how horror filmmakers in general are incredibly liberal, injecting these films with all kinds of messages, and a vast chunk, not all, most certainly not all, but there's a chunk of the horror consumers that are completely on the other side of the spectrum. And it's a very interesting, the ones that are watching cutting edge genre stuff tend to be more on the liberal side of things, and the ones that stick mainly to, classic slashers and nothing more, like, all the sequelized horror from the 80s
Yeah.
tend to be leaning towards the right of things. It's a very interesting thing.
I think that's probably goes to like the commonality of the genre of horror, where it's like action films kind of do the same thing. It's like you can take the red meat of just what it is, of, you know, the killing, the slashing, the stalking, the splatter, the creepy music. You could we all love that stuff. 100% of us love that stuff. But there's a subset of us as horror fans that want something that's beneath the surface of that.
Right.
And in like Jeff said, like you said, it's a lot of horror has that underneath the wrapper. Like you take the wrapper off and there's a chewy center to it usually. And then that's when the liberal, I don't want to say like, you know.
Yeah, I hate those labels. I'm sorry I used that, started it like that.
But somebody who wants a little bit more, it's there for them. But and it's completely fine for somebody who just wants,
right,
you know, street trash. It's like, yeah, street trash says nothing. Well, it just says, you know.
Does it though? There's got to be. I made a statement, a very, very strong statement on my other podcast. I said that all art is political, and what I meant by that was it doesn't necessarily mean it's political in the sense of like Democrats and Republicans. It's political in the sense of there's a message in some way, shape, or form. There's a message, or you can find a message, even if the art creator didn't have a message. Right. There is some message. Sure. And what is the art message in? Is there an art message in street trash? I bet you if I watch street trash right now looking for it, I would find it, because you could have the politics of being a teenager.
You could say how society just takes advantage of the homeless and, you know, mentally ill. It's, you know,
there's a Vietnam vet.
It's done.
You can say something about that.
Yeah. You can even go as far back as Universal horror movies, where there is a message with monsters. And to go more towards the topic of your podcast, there's a lot of crossover with horror and punk. Like a lot of music there's a lot of message, there's a lot of politics in punk. It's a counterculture, and a lot of horror fans are the same thing. It's also a counterculture. And there's crossover where horror fans are also punk fans, I find. Music, it's like a subgenre.
Metal.
Yeah, metal.
Rock.
Punk. Yeah. Where Fast and the Furious, that's like, if Fast and the Furious would be like hip hop, you know, maybe romantic comedies would be top 40 music. Horror is a little bit of
that's pretty good.
Metal and punk rock.
Yeah. Wow, I never thought about it like that.
That makes sense. Everything you could basically put a genre label on anything. Basically,
I love hip hop. You know, I've seen every single Fast and Furious movie, and I can tell you, we could have a whole other discussion about
Fast, Too Furious.
Pete, you made me watch way too many of those fucking movies.
I want to put out into the universe my pitch for the title for the 10th Fast and Furious movie, which would be Fast 10 Your Seatbelt.
Oh man!
Wait, say it again.
I don't want to.
Fast 10 Your Seatbelt. Ouch.
Fast 10.
Ouch. Wow, sorry. That was good.
We do a lot.
Pizza, Boone, and that. Damn, dude.
I'm not even the pun king of this group of friends here. Sean is the pun king. Yeah, if you just watch the Ghouligans, it's all monster puns. It's all really bad puns. I don't write the shit. I just say the shit.
Anyway, speaking of Ghouligans, the thing that there is very much, and I guess you guys came before it. I have actually never seen it until recently. I was friends with the dude before I watched his film. Friggin' Chris, who did WNUF.
Oh yeah,
Halloween special. Chris, awesome dude. Yeah. He's got a new movie out at the Nightmares Film Festival. Him and Jimmy George wrote WNUF as well. Two great guys. And you know, the Ghouligans kind of does something parallel to that in the sense that you kind of have like some commercial stuff, right? You do some sort of like fictionized commercial stuff, and just the way that they do, not in a, I would say it's a different sort of style, but I don't know, indicative of one another.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I saw a trailer for NUF, or somebody leaked it on YouTube, and I wrote to Chris LaMartina immediately, and I'm like, oh shit, man, like I got something you probably love, you got to see it. So he sent him like a bunch of Ghouligan stuff, and then he sent me the DVD to NUF and a whole bunch of like CDs from the band and stuff. And then
Salt of the Earth, dude, when he came up here for the Sleepy Hollow International Film Festival, we hung out. I met his wife Melissa. We had some Mexican food and just chewed the fat, shot the shit, and just had a good time, man. Great people, really.
Yeah,
truly.
he's got an amazing energy to him, man. He's like kind
Truly.
of and shit, but it's like brilliant what he's saying and what he's thinking. You could tell he keeps going and doesn't shut off. You know,
he's the micro budget filmmaker who's just like, I mean, just doing incredible, brilliant things with nothing.
Is he working on something new?
I'm sorry.
Is he working on something new?
He's working on the sequel to WNUF right now.
Oh, sweet.
And then he just him and Jimmy George just finished. What Happens Next Will Scare You. So
that's what's at Nightmares Film Festival. They actually won Best Comedy Film. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, let's just plug that. I haven't seen it, but I know it's brilliant. So it's like,
yeah, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Listen, Jimmy. But to circle back around, even back to Playdate and to the Bouncing Souls doc before we talk more horror and all that jazz. I just wanted to say all those things are friggin' great. I love that Playdate video. I thought it was super fun, and I loved the Bouncing Souls documentary. Thought it was great. So congratulations to you guys on that stuff. And even more recently, you just did a short called Like Me, Sean, right?
Like Me Deadly.
Like Me Deadly, right.
Like Me Deadly. Shit, sorry.
There's actually another movie called Like Me, and I didn't know about it, and it's about like...
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it, actually.
I didn't know about that, and I was like...
It has social media in it, too. I didn't even think about that.
And also, it has somebody in like a white mask, like my movie, too, and I was like...
oh my God.
It was out like a year before, I think
Sean,
I made...
you devil. Yeah, I watched that last year. Like Me.
I did not know about it, and then someone was like, "Hey, is this the movie you're making?" And I'm like, "Oh no, shit, no, it's not mine." But
that happens so often. That happens so often.
It happens too often, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a really fun short. I was really impressed with the attention to detail. You know, most films you see, the social media inside the film is usually really like crappy or half-assed, and Sean put great care and detail into really making the social media aspects feel super real, because it's a big part of the theme of the short, and it really works. Really
Thanks
well.
so much. Because, I sent it to Jeff like months ago, and I said, "Hey man, I just want to get a gut check on this movie." And that's one of the first things you said was how accurate the social media stuff was. And that's fantastic, because I'm a 45-year-old dude and I don't really use much at all. And I'm never on Twitter or anything. And
yeah,
I just relied on the writers and the effects people to come up with that stuff. And
I just want to say that there's a crossover there on who did the effects on Sean's movie, Like Me Deadly, and who worked on my documentary for the Souls. RJ Wyant. Yeah, RJ Wyant worked on both of our projects. RJ did the effects for the social media stuff, right?
Yeah, RJ did all the VFX, and he did stuff on Ghouligans. He was in Ghouligans. He's like an incredibly multi-faceted artist of all kinds. Effects, gore effects, like editor, filmmaker on his own. Just the most talented dude you can imagine. Yeah.
Even when Sean and I are working apart, we're still working together in some way, because RJ worked on both those projects.
And then he put Pete's name in like the DMs and the text and stuff.
Yeah, RJ put my name in the social media aspects in Sean's movie.
So we're keeping like we're keeping like the Ghouligans world, the Pete's Punk movie world. We're all keeping it in like a sphere, somewhat of a sphere.
It's baked in. That's wonderful. Yeah. Truly wonderful.
Yeah, RJ shot the documentary that I made with Sean's equipment. So Sean is still working with me some at this point. And then he did some cleanup edits with the documentary as well. So RJ is an amazing dude to know. And
was that was shot on the Blackmagic? You did Blackmagic?
Yeah, we used like 3 of them. For, are you talking about the short or Pete's documentary?
Well, you said he borrowed your equipment. I know you had the Blackmagic, because I'm always texting you Blackmagic text questions. I haven't in a while, but I have.
No, Pete borrowed a Canon C100, I think, which is a great camera.
Gotcha.
And really easy to use, because I was working on other jobs using those Blackmagic cameras, because like the real job is I go make commercials and documentaries and stuff. for a big company. So it's like,
that's your day job.
Yeah, that's that. Like most filmmakers who never made it, you gotta find another revenue stream when you realize that you're 45 and you're not going to make movies full time.
It's the greatest trials and tribulations for an art creator of going, all right, my art is not going to sustain being alive, so I have to do something else. And I'm in that right now. I'm unemployed and I'm trying to figure out what my next move is. And it's just like,
yeah. But you know what's wonderful about it though? It remains something that can't be crushed by the pressure that you yourself don't put on it. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, I never thought about that, dude.
If it becomes a job with deadlines and people over you telling you how to do it, something creative that you know better how to do creative because it's coming out of you, then fuck that. That sucks. So
fuck that, dude.
Go make other movies that other people are telling you how to make and you don't care about, but then get that money that you made from those things and go make your own fucking movie that no one tells you what to do with. That's the way. That's the way.
Punk right there. That's you just said punk out loud, man.
Well, here's the biggest kind of connection between what Pete and I do with the films. We probably wish we were musicians. We could be in a punk band, but we love music, but we love movies as much or more. So especially with like our Slack Pack show and our Ghouligans show and the movies. We are a band,
right?
We're a punk band basically, but we make movies instead of music. It's the same thing. We pack the car up with equipment. We go to a place, we shoot, and then we go on tour sharing the stuff that we made. It's the same system.
It's
a different product, but it's the same system. Yeah.
It's not as instant gratification as playing in front of a live audience.
No, but when we did get to perform live as the Ghouligans and stuff, we did kind of get that rock star vibe a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know what's interesting, which actually brings me back to the question that I was going to ask you at the very beginning regarding the podcast and, all the movie stuff that you guys do. I was going to ask you, how does it feel? I was talking about instant gratification and I was saying, how did it differ or how did it feel or did it make you want to do maybe one more than the other when you would go into a studio? Because there is something I have to tell you, this is what's interesting. I've noticed as a content creator myself, since the pandemic started, I was like, all right, that's it. You are getting into full on broadcast mode. You are going to start doing a variety of content and you're just going to grind. You're going to get your monetization back, which just happened. I finally got my monetization back. And you're just going to push stuff out, do a video a day if you have to. And the beautiful thing about this format is you turn on your camera, you put your microphone up, you hit record and you just go. And I mean, I'm slinging these things like hotcakes every day, whether people are watching or not. Boom, 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 boom. It's a great feeling. And my question to you is there something, how does doing a show like Pitch It Movie Podcast affect other types of creative output? Does it make it harder in the sense of like, I could literally just go on the air and just write a movie right here with my friends right now and like imagine it, but it doesn't have the same lasting effect as bringing something, because when you create, you're willing something into existence, something that tangible that people can watch endlessly, and whatever that does for you too as an artist. What is that like for you guys?
I think that we did 80 episodes of the Pitch It Movie Podcast.
Wow.
We did 80 episodes, and that's pretty much improving and making up movies on the spot.
Was it 2 years, Pete? Was it 2 years we did it?
2 years. It was 2 years. And at that point, I think when it finally ended, we were all like, we need to make real stuff. We need to stop doing make-believe stuff and start making real stuff. And the part of what I miss about the podcast is that even though we were making stuff up on the spot and it was fun and we got to meet new people like you. We met so many cool people doing the podcast. And we had an excuse to meet some of our heroes doing the podcast. But it's like it almost there's like the other half of your brain where you're like, I wish I was really making stuff the whole time. And
yeah, we were gonna make it. Yeah, we were making phony movies with some of our like the people we admired most, like you, Jeff. It's like, fuck, we're just sitting here talking about this amazing movie. Like, we got to go make a movie right now.
It breaks your heart a little bit because like you're as you're pitching it and as you're making it, and then when you turn the mics off, you're like, fuck, man, I wish I was in a position where I could make this a reality. You know, like not writing it, I could tell someone to write this, or not producing it, like I could tell someone to produce it, like because it was so fun. And like the podcast gave not only the three of us freedom, but also gave our guests freedom. Some guests came on and they were like, there was this one guest that comes to mind. It was just Sean Clark. And Sean, you actually weren't there, right? It was Sean Clark.
No, I missed that one. Yeah.
And Sean Clark is like Norman. He was like a manager. He manages a lot of like the Walking Dead, actors and stuff. And he came on the podcast, and he actually didn't. We made friends with him doing horror conventions.
Wait, what's his name again?
Sean Clark.
Is this the guy that does all the location things?
Yeah, he does Horror's Hallowed Grounds on the.
Yeah, I met this guy in New Jersey one time at a fest. I recognized who he was. He was at a convention fest thing. Yeah, he manages all the town, all the people.
Yeah, he's one of the top 3 agents for all the convention.
Get out of here! I did not know that.
Yeah,
we made friends with him during the conventions, and his girlfriend lived in Long Island, so we kind of waited to when he would visit his girlfriend and invited him on the podcast. And he didn't know what the podcast was like. And when he showed up, he's like, what kind of questions are you going to ask? And what are we talking about? We're like, dude, we're going to make up a movie. And he got so psyched. This is a guy who does 1 million podcasts. He gets invited onto 1,000 podcasts, and they're all questions about Norman Reedus and the cast of The Walking Dead and whatnot and all his projects. But he got to do something creative with a bunch of also other creative dudes. So once we finished the, recording with him, he was like, wow, that was different. that was a lot of fun. And even even his girlfriend was like, I sit in on a lot of these, and that was probably the most fun I've had, like listening to people make up a movie. And we had a lot of fun doing that. But like, go ahead, Sean.
No, that's the unique thing about it. It's like any guest that comes on, and they could be a filmmaker, they could be a comic, they could be a dancer, they could be a fucking a drywaller, whatever. We come on, we talk a little bit about them like we do with you, Jeff, but then it's like, okay, let's get down to business. We have a job to do right now. We got to come up with a movie right now, live. We don't know where we're going to start, where we're going to end. We're just going to improv the whole thing right now. And it's like, and it really takes people out of like the usual standard Q&A or a structure of any fucking podcast that's out there. And it was just like, It's just like brainstorm and people yelling over each other. And it's like a writer's room. There's pages flying. There's like people yelling out jokes.
That probably made it
a live writer's room.
That probably made it really hard to listen to.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people just yelling ideas over each other. But like
that's the hardest part about podcasting is like, trying not to, talk over each other. I'm like super guilty of this, and I'm super animated and want to, control everything and blah, 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 blah. But like, it's tough.
Yeah.
After 80 episodes, we still never figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But meeting other filmmakers was great. And it was like the setup, if I'm sure your listeners or watchers never heard the podcast, but the setup was that we worked for Mr. Hollywood. We have an $11 billion budget. So that's the limit. And then we have to come up with a movie from soup to nuts, like Sean used to say, soup to nuts. And the best part is when people didn't come in prepared, the three hosts, we pretty much, whatever story they gave us about their background, that's where we came up with our movie. It's basic improv exercise. Like you give a suggestion, then you build off of that. And some people who like came in prepared, like I have an idea for a movie. Like that's when it didn't work, because like even in improv, if you come in with a set idea, it doesn't work. So when it was like someone's giving you suggestions, then you build on top of that. Whatever the news of the day, it was like we started in 2016. So like the election was like happening. It was like, there's a lot of Trump stuff going on. So, Will really, Sean and I kept saying, don't know politics, no politics, but Will didn't give a fuck. He was just like, let's make another political, drama. But like, yeah, man, that was a lot of fun. But,
it's like radio theater. It's like the oldest tradition in the world of radio theater, except done through improv. And yeah, it was really great. And that is the problem, is that you get that taste of instant gratification. I get it all the time whenever I'm broadcasting. I feel it, especially when I'm live. It's like, because that's what you do as an artist, as a content creator, you want to connect with your audience, and there's no faster, easier way to do that, and rawer way. It's the rawest way to do it than to do that, where you just boom, like just putting it out there live on the stream and just going for it.
I would say I would say that the one negative of it would be like if you're a highly creative person who needs to do things all the time, it's great because as we can't always afford to make a short film or a feature film or a record or whatever. So these, we meet once or twice a week and come up with this stuff. And then you were like satisfied for a little while, that like you could rest on that for like a few weeks, but then the urge comes back up and you're like, let's record again. But like, that's okay for week after week or month after month, but year after year, it starts to kind of like satisfy you and lull your actual like motivation to do, not that it's not a real thing. It's a very substantial thing, but when you have aspirations beyond that, it sort of sedates you from doing those bigger things that are more ambitious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Rabbit starvation. You know what rabbit starvation is?
Rabbit starvation?
Rabbit, like rabbits.
Yes.
Actually, wait, Pete, you have to cover your bunny's ears for this because I don't want. All right, I'm just. Pete, it's gonna be like a Band-Aid. We're just gonna rip it off. When people in times of like harsh winters and stuff, in the old times, in the old ways, in the old days, and the only game you could catch was like winter rabbits or whatever. You could subside off of rabbits, survive on rabbits, but you would still starve to death because they just don't have enough. I forget what it is in the nutrient on the nutrient spectrum. There were things that are lacking in rabbits, and you eventually succumb to rabbit starvation, where you're still starving to death even though you're eating on a regular basis.
So you have to have a side of veggies or protein with
something like that. You know what? Now I have to look it up because I'm really talking out of the side of my neck, and I'm going to feel
that's
like
that's essentially what you're saying. Yeah, it's empty calories, kind of. It's not empty. You're doing something that's great fun, but
right,
it's not going to sustain you forever.
So I was half right. It's called protein poisoning, also referred colloquially as rabbit starvation. Or fat starvation, refers to an unverified acute form of malnutrition that some have speculated may be caused by a diet deficient in fat, where excessive lean meat is consumed, i.e. rabbits don't have a lot of fat. You're eating rabbits, and therefore you're not getting all the nutrient the profile of nutrients you need, and you are essentially dying from protein poisoning. And that is kind of what happens.
You're dying of protein poisoning, or you're on a pretty effective weight loss regimen.
Which is which is the best. There's two anthologies. I'm not sure. I think one of them was on Hulu, but the other one, it involved a tapeworm, but the other one is with Stacy Keach, right? In Body Bag. Oh no, that was hair transplants.
Yeah, that was the hair, the alien hair with
yeah, okay. Sorry. I know there's another one where you eat a tapeworm, and the tapeworm is the diet thing, and it gets out of control. And
that sounds familiar.
Are we still talking about making stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, you do make stuff when you eat or don't eat. You just, make less or more of it. It just
I feel like we went from a metaphor to a literal interpretation.
Well, it's when Jeff
mean,
went, hold on a second, I got to look that up. And that's what we just go.
Well, because that's what because I do another show called Jeff Reads Wikipedia, and what I try to do is I try to find interesting Wikipedia articles. You can find them on the YouTube channel. There's Mike the Headless Chicken. There's the Mellified Man, aka the Honey Mummy. You're like, wait, what? What's a honey mummy? Go watch this video about honey mummies that I made. Holy crap!
Yeah,
this is scary. Yeah, honey mummies. Or Terrere, who is one of the most horrifying men from the 1700s. Just these weird topics, and when I'm deep diving on these things, I have to look up every word that I don't understand, everything to fully get to the bottom of. I just want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
This just sounds like my process of writing. Like
Well,
I'm supposed to be writing, but then instead I'm looking up stuff on Wikipedia for 2 hours.
This feels like an episode of Pitch and Movie Podcast. Like, keep going. That's a good idea.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Honey Mummy, because Honey Mummy's I was going to think that we would pitch. Here's a Honey Mummy.
Bring this on you guys. The only thing I was going to say is that we need to involve pizza somehow, right? There has to be pizza involved as well. But if you want to begin, I was going to whip that out a little bit later. But you know what? You can answer the thesis question after we pitch a movie. Let's do it right now.
Are we really doing a pitch? Oh my, we got to shorten it though, right?
We'll shorten it. We'll shorten it, but let's do it.
5 minute pitch. It's a 5 minute pitch.
Come on.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you know when the movie is done. Let's do it. Come on.
Okay, so Honey Mummy.
Oh,
what is a Honey Mummy?
It's something like this, isn't it? Is it
it's
a yummy
like
mummy?
a yummy mummy. Oh, by the way, I'm going to show you a picture afterwards, Sean. You'll appreciate this of my cereal collection.
Okay.
Okay, you want to start with so Honey Mummy has to so it has to involve honey mummies and it has to involve pizza. Who's going to star in this film, you guys?
The Rock.
Who? The Rock
Johnson. Sorry,
before we cast, I see a like a fast food corporation, like the Stuff kind of corporation, making Honey Mummy like a cereal.
Can you tell us what the Honey Mummy really is?
All right, I'm going to tell you what a honey mummy really is.
Before we get the casting, let's do this.
All right, a honey mummy.
Jay Miller. Sorry.
So people, this is
people
real life people back in the day, back in the day,
like 1940. Okay.
No, like thousands of years ago,
like 1989. Go ahead.
Like medieval time. Yeah.
Might as well have been 1,000 years ago. When you turn the age of 70 or 80 in China and places in the Middle East where it really originated, these old people just go, you know what? I've lived a really long life. I want to help other people. I'm going to become a mellified man. What is a mellified man? It's a human confectionery. What's a confectionery? A food that's sweet. So what these people start doing is they basically first declare that they're forfeiting their lives. So it's basically voluntary sacrifice. And what they do is they stop consuming food and water and they only eat honey. That's it. They just eat honey for the rest of their whatever remains of their life. And they eat honey until the honey they start to sweat honey. Their sweat tastes like honey. And most importantly, when they go to the bathroom, number 2, it's pure honey. Pure honey. Their duty is honey duty. And once your body, what's happening is your body is slowly, while you're still alive, you are steeping your body in honey. And then eventually eating only honey kills you. You die. You die from the
Rob Zombie's Honey Mummy.
Okay, good. Yeah. And I gotta.
Okay. Wait, I'm not done though. I'm not done. Hold on. It gets even crazier.
Oh shit.
So then what they do is they take your body.
Oh god.
They put it in a stone coffin and they pour honey all over your corpse. And the thing about honey is honey does not decompose. It doesn't go bad. Honey lasts forever. There is ancient honey from Egypt that is still people are able to consume it. It never goes bad. You
become like the honeycomb in the jar. Like the body is
on the episode that I was describing this, I basically decided that it was very much like what the killer clowns do in Killer Clowns from Outer Space with the cotton candy cocoons. You are basically, that's like the rapid version where you're shooting your cotton candy gun at a person, you're turning them into this really sweet confectionery treat, and you're drinking the juice. So what happens is they put you in a stone coffin, they pour honey all over your body, and then they wait 100 years. That's right. You heard correct. They wait 100 years. In 100 years, they open up your stone sarcophagus. So the people who started this process are probably no longer around at this point. And what they do is they go, yep, he's ready. And they break pieces off of your corpse, because by that time you are hunnified. And then consume the corpse. And it cures everything. It fixes broken bones. It fixes any disease you have. Honey mummies, and they're super rare. It is super expensive because it takes so long to make a honey mummy, a mallified man, as they say. And so these are the types of things that I read about on Wikipedia. That is what, and so check out that show, everybody. That's just called Jeff Who Reads Wikipedia. And if you have a topic that you want me to read about, you let me know in the comments. Anyway, that is what
I want to go 180 with my initial Rob Zombie. So what about like an Encino Man type of movie?
Okay.
There are two kids who live in Encino, California.
Okay.
Find a honey mummy, and then they bring him and they make him like their best friend. And it's also played by Brendan Fraser. I don't know.
No, it's played by Pauly Shore. It's played by Pauly Shore. And
Pauly Shore.
But then as he's going on, the son is turning into honey, and it's like the Incredible Melting Man. He just keeps.
You guys are forgetting one thing. You guys are forgetting a very important ingredient to this movie:
honey,
pizza. And so here's what I petition. I'm petitioning to you guys. You guys can say yes or no. But how about instead of becoming a mellified man, you become a pizza man? Where people are turned into
universal horror. Maybe it's like Honey Mummy versus the Pizza Man.
Could do that too. You could do that too.
Got a real monster mash, huh?
I don't know. It's listen. I'm just putting it on the table. This is your guys' rodeo. You guys are the professional.
Okay. How about this? It's a mob boss. It's like an Al Capone mob boss, right?
Okay.
And he's got to hide from the cops. He just he got busted.
Yeah.
So his family puts him in a jar of marinara.
Okay. Okay.
And he has to wait 100 years. So this is like 1920. So 2020 happens. His grandkids or whatever. I don't know who the fuck they would be. Great grandkids or something.
Oh, sorry.
This is the pickle movie with Seth Rogen. I just want to say.
It's like the pickle guy or whatever. It's like the pickle. Not pickle, whatever. So they open the big jar of marinara, they pop them out, they take them out, and so he has to rebuild his crime empire. But he also can't stay away from the marinara for far too long, or else he'll so he has to go he becomes like a marinara vampire. So he has to eat pizzas and marinara sauces.
That's fucking amazing.
It's good, but I just feel like
it needs more.
We need more than look. It's good. It's not bad, but that's just marinara. We need full on pizza. Pizza is a bunch of different ingredients, and so therefore, I think that it should be more like Blood Feast, but with pizza. And this guy is turning people. There's a guy or a girl or whoever is turning people into human pizzas.
Pizza mummies?
Pizza mummies for medical purposes of some kind.
Nicolas Cage.
Okay. All right. You want to go? Are we doing? You want to do another Cage? I thought we were going to do Brendan Fraser.
Let's get in the cage.
It's funny because when we came up with this was 4 years ago when we came up with this thing. Was it 2016?
Yeah.
We came up with
this.
And Cage 2017. Okay. So 3 years ago, and Cage was he had a few hits that were inclining him from a lull of maybe 10 years of
he was really developing the strong cult of personality that has just
and it was the year of Mandy, so it was he was And
that was
like
the year of Mandy. Yeah.
And then it was like he announced Color Out of Space, so he was starting to get a little prestigious again, you know. And now it's like he just kind of just went. He just kept, you know, it never went like this. It just kept going like this. I mean, Jeff would argue.
We pitched a movie called Cage, and now they're actually making it where it's a meta movie where he plays himself.
Yes, right. He's doing a movie about being Nicolas Cage.
And we pitched that like 2-3 years ago.
Called Will's favorite.
Man, okay, yeah. Cage is running. Okay, here's the deal. You tell me. Okay, you guys can veto this or not. Cage is running a pizzeria, the family pizzeria business. It's called Coppola Pizza, and it's a failing. It's a failing. There's just too many hot, wonderful pizzerias in the neighborhood, and so he needs an edge. And what happens is, and then to take what you said, he owes money to the mob. Okay, and what happens is the mob boss falls into a vat of marinara, just like Sean said. And so what? And Cage decides to cover it up because he knows the FDA is going to come in there and shut him down. So go ahead. Take it over.
Go ahead, because I think I know where you're going, but I want to see if it's
all
the
right.
same.
All right, fine. I was going to say, anybody take this over as soon as you want, or as soon as you get.
But I think we're going in the same direction. But go ahead.
Okay, fine. So then he makes some pizzas with this special marinara, the red sauce. But it could just be red sauce, whatever. And someone comes in with like a broken arm or something one day, and they eat his pizza, and he's not even really aware that this mob boss is in the sauce at this point. You know what they say? The sauce is the boss.
Well,
so
that's the tagline. That's the tagline on the poster, definitely.
The boss. But it heals the guy's broken arm, and that's when Cage goes, "Wait a minute! It seems that people are getting healed from my pizza. I got to kill more people."
Yeah.
And
okay. Good. Yeah. That's. Okay.
I don't know. You take it from there. If you go.
No. That was it. That was it, because it was like it was going to be like a Fountain of Youth type of thing where the body stays in there for a certain amount of time, and then it enriches the sauce with some kind of like vitalizing kind of stuff.
And now the wine's out the door.
Yeah.
We need the whole Coppola family in this, because they've never really worked with each other other than Francis and Talia Shire.
Directed by Roman Coppola. Yeah.
It's got to be directed by Francis Ford or Sofia Coppola, written by Roman Coppola.
Yeah.
I love it. And
Jason Schwartzman's got to be in it. Talia Shire's got to be in it.
Jason Schwartzman is the rival down the block who has the hippest. His pizza's like fancy pizzas, like truffle oil and like
Brooklyn hipster, pizza, yeah.
And then in the end, it turns into like fucking Do the Right Thing, where there's like a riot in the neighborhood.
Yes,
but it's pizzeria versus pizza. They all gang up on the Coppola's pizzeria.
Yeah,
take him down basically.
Well, but here's the thing. But Cage is not going to go down without a fight. So of course, it turns into a siege movie where he, pulls out some. Go ahead.
Okay. He's cornered. He's got 100 bodies in marinara or red sauce in the basement, right? all steeping, right?
Yeah.
There's a lightning storm and a wire breaks.
Oh my God!
It floods the basement, and the wires go in the basement and charge up the tanks filled with the bodies, and then they climb out of the tanks of marinara, and then become a red sauce
zombie
army of pizza people. Yeah.
Right. And then he has to fight the pizza people. And it's called the Pizza People too, of course. So yeah.
So now in the end, it's got to be called like I don't know. It's got to be. The title can't give away that Pizza People ending though.
So maybe the sauce is the boss is the title.
Sauce boss.
The sauce is the boss is the perfect tagline.
Fine.
Yeah, that's got to go under the title.
No, so you know what? It's not. No, so the title should be just something. It has to be different than that. Pizza zombies.
Wait, we got pie. So pie can rhyme with die. So what's
Attack of the Die Pies?
Die pies or like
or what about just Die Pie? like die, exclamation point, pie, exclamation point. And that's like Cage utters that at some point. He just goes, why won't you die, pie?
But then we have to come up with a living pizza that,
Well, what happens is eventually some sauce singes his face, and his face, he kind of has like a dark man, the dark man situation goes down.
He's like Pizza Face, he's the villain. Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
Oh, Pizza Face. Oh, what about wow, I like that actually. That kind of
Or there's like the main like Schwartzman becomes the main villain, Pizza Face, after like he gets like a hot pizza lands on his face.
The Coppola family pizza place to find out what he puts in those pies to make them so tasty.
Well, and Schwartzman gets like everybody crowds around him to see him spinning pies and taking it out of the oven and throwing them into the into the boxes. But then he trains his people to do it, and they throw one pie and it lands on his face. It misses the box and lands on his face. And then he becomes like the Joker. Like he goes to like a surgeon and fix his face.
Yes.
He's like, I have pizza. He's got to become Pizza Face, like a Dick Tracy villain. He's the Pizza Face.
Okay, so he becomes Pizza Face. So then, hold on a second. So then does he kind of become a vigilante?
There's something here. Hold on a second.
Nicolas Cage a vigilante?
No, Nicolas Cage is defending the Coppola restaurant from Pizza Face.
I know, but
then all of his pizzas are coming to life. So there's going to be a whole thing where he's like hiding. There's got to be like a comedic thing where he's hiding all the bodies coming up to life, kind of like Dead Alive, where like he's just keeping them in his home.
Right,
they're all in the basement. Yeah.
They're all in the basement. Right. They're all in the basement. He's going, you just got to keep quiet. You got to keep quiet. We're in business right now.
Low.
They start eating each other because they're pizza and delicious.
Right.
Well, then he has to constantly feed them pizza pies. Yeah, to instead of flesh, they need pizza. So
because the only thing that's gonna satiate them is more pizza, or that's all he has.
Marinara Mafia.
I like that. That's not bad.
You can say pizza die.
What's the ending?
It's I don't know.
What's the ending? Give me an ending.
Pie, my darling.
Pie, my darling. I like that. That works.
The ending, shit. We're like way past 5 minutes here, but
I don't know. I think we got it. I'll just call it. I'm going, since it's my podcast, I say it's die pie. That's what it is. Die pie.
That's it. All right, let's bring this up to Mr. Hollywood. We got to pitch this.
Okay. I like it, kid. It's good. I'm green lighting.
Will, we did an extra episode of Pitch Movie Podcast without you.
He was there in spirit. I'm so that was. I mean that, but I missed that. I missed that free form sense of creativity that I don't get on a regular basis unless I'm doing broadcasts.
Well, you know where it comes from? It comes from like when you're in college or you're in high school and you're hanging out with your friends and like you never have an agenda, you don't have a job, you're just playing video games or watching movies. And it's the kind of conversation, not everybody does this obviously, but it's the kind of conversations that we grew up having with each other, just like avoiding real topics, just talking bullshit, like coming up, just making each other laugh. And then when you get older, like that, the opportunity for that free time or that useless kind of moments that just minimizes so much that you don't have it anymore. So it's like now you have to set a day and a week aside where you're going to hang out with your friends for a couple hours and just make each other laugh and say the stupidest shit. That's what the Pitch and Movie Podcast was.
Right.
And like, sometimes we get like, we were writing a bunch of movies together, Pete and I, and some other people. So like, that's another reason why we get together and just, try to make each other laugh and just be as ridiculous as possible. So it's like, in adult life, you don't really get that opportunity. You have to make those opportunities,
So let me ask you this. Let's talk about the thesis question. Why each one of you can take a turn, or you can, sort of riff on each other's answers. Why is pizza punk, and why is pizza punk? And like I said to you before, whatever you say is valid. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just always curious. That's my theme of my show. Why?
I have an idea, or I have a. Well, personally, you could just put some garlic powder on an Elio's and I'm happy. That's pretty punk rock. That's pizza, and that's pizza. That's pizza. You get all the best pizza in Brooklyn, just give me some Elios and I'm good to go. For me, going off what we were talking about before, and punk and making horror movies kind of being the same, same genre. Making movies, the things we ate the most were pizza. So I always associate making movies and eating pizza, and making movies with my friends is pretty punk rock. And the food of choice was pizza. I probably have bagels and pizza in my lower intestines from 1997 still. So
impacted in your gut.
Impacted. Yeah, that's what I think. And also, like, when I always think of pizza and punk rock, I think of Rock and Roll High School. I think of Dee Dee Ramone going, "Hey guys, pizza! Dig in, pizza!" Like,
that's the second time I've gotten that answer on this show, actually. So
it's like the best line delivery ever. It's like the only word he could say at the time was pizza.
He did 16 takes of that. He did 16 takes.
Yeah, that's right, because he just kept slurring the words. Like what? Like they couldn't.
That played at the Alamo. I got to see it on the big screen. The print was from 1978 or 79. It was brown. It was dirty. It was like, I'm sitting here watching the Ramones on the big screen doing the 4 songs that they do. They do a medley at the end from Road to Ruin songs. And I'm going, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to seeing the Ramones. And it was just like, it was gorgeous. And I loved every second of it. So what about you, Sean?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it since you posed this question in the beginning. I don't know, because there's probably not a person. Well, there's a person alive who doesn't love pizza, but you're not likely to find them anywhere. But it's the most common food there is. I mean, I can't imagine a more like widely appreciated and widely loved food. But I think that when you get up to a higher level of society and, a more elite class of people, I think they probably wouldn't admit that they love pizza so much. Maybe I'm making this up. I don't know. But I think, certain people like burgers, like, oh, pizza and burgers. Yeah. They're too good for it, So, right. I mean, if it's the food of like the common people, I think punk rock is the music of the common people. And, they go hand in hand in that regard. And like Pete was saying, like, we'd go see a show at CB's, or we'd go see a show in Manhattan. The first thing we did when the show ended, we got a slice, we'd go get a slice and a Coke.
Right.
Like that was standard, absolutely standard. And that was after like punk shows or movies, and we have movie parties here and we get like 3 or 4 pies, and it's just like, and everybody's just cutting loose, talking shit, making each other laugh. That's the environment for pizza, and that's the environment for punk rock. So
one of my favorite memories growing up in New York is going to a show at Coney Island High on St. Mark's Street. And my favorite pizza place was the Ray's on St. Mark's. And just what Sean said, you just made me think of like coming out of Coney Island High or just hanging out on St. Mark's, and then just hanging out
on the corner.
Ray's on the corner. Yeah. There were some days where I just like took the train from Long Island and just sat in front of the Rays for the whole day because I had nothing else to do. Like if we weren't shooting a public access show, or if we weren't, hanging out and watching movies, I had nothing to do. Like if anyone was around, I would hop on the Long Island Railroad, go to St. Mark's.
It's a magical block in New York City.
Yeah. In the 90s. Absolutely, in the 90s.
Yeah.
Kim's music video.
Kim's video right there. Yeah.
Oh. You had about till 95, and then it wasn't what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's most certainly not what it used to be right now. But I remember that's where I discovered Meet the Feebles and Necromantic. I was in Kim's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Necromantic, what is this?
There's so many people with that same story about Kim's.
Yeah.
It was such a perfect place to discover everything. Is
the best, where everything was categorized by filmmaker, and I had never seen that before, and I was like, this is so, it was a film gourmandizer's wet dream,
I know, and that's where I could not find Cannibal Holocaust anywhere, and it was 1991 or something, and fucking Kim's at it, and I wasn't probably allowed to watch it, or Well, by that time I was, but you could not find that anywhere.
That was before Grindhouse Releasing had picked it up and it got put out.
They would just it was some indie label that put it on VHS tape with a home printed label, and it was a 4th generation copy. So that's such a we're so lucky that we had Kim's for that short period of time, man. So
and then they moved at the very end. They moved, so they left that building.
Yeah,
they went to First Avenue. I think they closed. They finally closed their doors in 2014. I want to say, and I only know that because when I was shooting Romeo, I had a one day in the city, and I had actually contacted them, and I said I had written a whole scene around Kim's, and I didn't get to shoot it because they closed down before I could shoot it. It was such a shame. I wanted to have that in my movie. It was so important to have it in my movie because it's just like
document it.
Yeah, I just wanted to document it. I mean, that's like the other thing about movies. Like they can be, when you're making a film, it can be incredibly, I'm sure you guys have felt this. It can be incredibly autobiographical where every single thing to that filmmaker, every single shred of something in your film means something to you in your personal life, and you're putting this in the frame or that in the frame, and to nobody, like, it means nothing. But to me, that's my rocking horse from when I was 3 years old, and I stuck it in this basement in the corner just so that it was there, so it's always there in the frame on the thing. And I suppose musicians can do this sort of a similar thing when they're writing an album or whatever, but maybe with the subject matter. But I think that's like the most interesting thing about being, making movies or something, is that you literally can paint the frame with objects that mean something to you, but may not mean anything. And that's whenever I watch something that's super old, super like, whatever, or super micro budget or whatever, and I think about like all the interesting things I'm seeing in the frame and what it might have meant to that filmmaker who was putting that all together.
Yeah. When you're watching a piece of anything where everything feels intentional, every little piece feels like, because if you're in a dream scenario and you're making a film, everything in that film should be very intentional. Like the piece of tape in the corner should have it be a part of the story. The design of the table should serve a part of the story. And then you watch movies where clearly that was the only table they had, and the piece of tape was holding up a wire. But that's part of the story too. That's part of the real story behind how the film was made. Agreed. And like that's how we get into things. That's how we get into things in the first place, is by like that little spark, that little like imperfection, or that little thing that shouldn't be there but is, and you start to wonder what the story is behind that. And that's like, that just gets your mind spinning as a young person, and just like, oh, I want to know how that wound up there, or how they got that thing there, and how that whole thing happened. And yeah,
I have a recommendation for you guys. Go ahead, Pete. I have a recommendation for you guys.
Just coming off what you were saying about you wish you were able to shoot at Kim's, and I also wish that you were also able to shoot at Kim's, because there's nothing better than being able to document something that doesn't exist there anymore.
Pete did. He did.
And then
how did you do that, Pete?
And in Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics, we were lucky enough to film Alkaline Trio at CBGB's 2 or 3 years before it closed.
Wow.
Well, yeah, we did it in 2003. But there's a scene with Alkaline, like, so Brian from the Bouncing Souls got us. He snuck in our cameras. He put our cameras in his bag because Hilly Crystal was like, you can't bring cameras in. But Brian was cool with Hilly, and even though Brian tried to ask Hilly Crystal if we could film, he was like, no. He's like, fuck it, yo, give me your cameras. He put 2 cameras in his bag, walked right in, and then once we got in, he's like, here you go. And then he set us up like right on. I got to sit on these speakers right on the stage, and I filmed Alkaline Trio at CBGB's, and like so thankful for stuff like that.
That's really cool, because like clearly they didn't let a lot of media in CBGB's, and this was before every cell phone. This was before smartphones, and this was before cell phones took real video. So we have an actual legitimate movie scene shot in CBGB's, which is very rare. If you try to search for stuff, I didn't try to search for anything on YouTube, but I can't assume that there's a flood of.
There's tons of footage in CBGB's, but not in movies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in a movie scenario where it's like they didn't let filmmakers in the place. Like, yeah, we went up to Hilly. Like, Hilly Crystal was always there, and we'd be like, hey, can we shoot a scene here? Fuck no. But then you'd be like, hey, can we just kind of take a look around the place? And he's like, yeah, whatever, go ahead. But if you've got a camera, no fucking way, man.
He let us shoot outside, which was fine for him.
That's true.
The awning with CBGBs is so iconic.
Yeah,
sometimes that's all you need. So I was able to cut the Alkaline Trio footage and then have Sean shoot outside getting kicked out of CBGBs. So Perfect. It could seamlessly look like he was getting kicked out of an Alkaline Trio show.
Right, but wasn't there like two front doors sort of? There was like a front door and then there was another door that comes in.
Like there was like a buffer zone.
Yes, so we had that little space, that little kind of area right on the front door to kind of like come in and out of all day long. So
that was 2003 was right around the time that I started to go to CBGBs. I went at the very tail end. I saw a couple of punk shows there. My friends used to play there all the time. So I'd always go to be at my friends' shows, and there was nobody ever there. Played like the worst times ever. But it was still very cool to thinking, like, at the time it didn't seem that cool, but now with so many years gone by, it's kind of like I feel very like special that I got to, experience such a big piece of, punk underground history like CBGBs. And you guys, I mean, that's incredible that you have a movie shot inside there with such tricky ingenuity around, Hilly being a stickler and whatnot.
And
scene in that bathroom.
Yeah, and Alkaline Trio is actually fucking awesome in that scene too. The performance is really, really good.
I had no idea
they were in the movie yet. I'm gonna check it out, especially now that I know that I gotta check that out. That's
it's the scene where the souls act in the scene.
Yeah.
That's right.
By the way, Sean is amazing in it. So you have to see it because Sean is incredible in it.
Okay.
He's such a great dramatic guy. So yeah, Sean is a horror guy, he's a comedy guy, but give him something dramatic and he'll fucking kill it.
Well, that's the thing.
Matter is very interesting. I know what it's about. It's about it's about everything we've been talking about, essentially pressing on and trying to, do something or giving up on it, dropping it and moving on. Right. That's what that's the theme of the movie.
That's the theme of the movie, but it was also the theme of our lives, everybody around us, and what we were trying to during the movie, because I personally quit many times the movie while we were doing it. And it's like, and we were always like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck is going on? Why are we spending years doing this? My God, what the fuck is happening? But it was also paralleling exactly what the movie was about, what the characters were doing.
Art imitating life.
And we're not actors. Yeah. We're not actors at all. We only act because no one else will show up for 12 or 14 hours.
I know all about that.
Right? So it's like we have to be the lead characters because we're the only ones stupid enough to keep going back every day and doing it. But it was good because we were actually experiencing exactly the script in real life. So if there are performances that feel true, that's why. Yeah, it's
because we were really fighting on the set, and then we just happened to film it. Yeah. So a little inside baseball, and I think it's great because when we started recording this podcast, you had asked a question, and I had started to talk about the beginning of this, and then we didn't come back to this until now, which is about like an hour and a half into talking.
Okay.
But now we're back into what we started talking about. But yeah, Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics. Essentially, it started off as the very first thing that Sean and I worked on together before Slacker TV. He had a script, and he asked me to help him put it together, which was Watch Your Back. And it was a short he wanted to direct. And then we just got so deep into Slacker TV that it kind of like was put aside. And then after maybe 2 or 3 years of working together every day with Sean, I was like, oh, why don't we try making a movie? Tried to make it into a feature. It was like a short, Watch Your Back was, and tried to make it into a feature called The Story She Told Me, which was like our friend's band song. Yeah. And it was a romantic dramedy within the punk music scene of Long Island. It sucked. It really sucked. And then we made friends. And then when Brian from The Souls came around and says, yeah, I watched the show. And we're like, cool, we steal your music. So then we were hanging out with them. And eventually after hanging out with them for a while, I was like, hey, that song yours, Freaks, Nerds, Romantics, sounds like a hell of a title. That's a hell of a title. You mind if we use it for a movie? He's like, fuck yeah, use that for a movie title. So we took that script, started trying to shoot it, wasn't going anywhere, stopped making it a romantic dramedy, turned it into about friendships and dreams and, you know, midlife crisis and where do you go from here? Which is what we were experiencing doing the public access show. We were like, we've been doing this for 6 years and it's not going anywhere. Should we quit or should we keep going? And I just changed it. Instead of being about 4 guys in a public access show, it was about 4 guys in a band. So everything that was happening with these band in the movie was happening to me.
Slightly.
Yeah, so it's like it's the most personal story we've ever made, because we were filming it in real time as it was happening to us, because I was rewriting the script as it was happening to us, and we were rolling the cameras as it was happening to us.
Exactly what I was talking about. Yeah.
And it was like, and the actors, Sean and Mike, who are in the Ghouligans, who are in public access show, I'm not in the movie. I was like, I'm not in it at all. We got to like talk about what happened to us a week ago. Now just change the names and just act out in front of the camera. And I'm sure was thinking about that now, who the fuck am I to ask Sean and Mike to do that? Like, we're in the middle of an argument. Let's document it. And you know what? Do it 10 times because I'm an asshole director like that. Like, how hard is that? And that's something that we could never pull that off again, because we were so close as a unit that we could yell at each other, and we could get away with asking people that much out of themselves, that much, which is why it's like, it's an okay movie. You know, it was made 10 years ago. I'm sure if it was made again, it would be totally different.
It was kind of made 20 years ago too. It was kind of made.
Oh, it's almost 20
made 10 and 20 years ago. That's
we were 20 years old when we started it.
It took like from like soup to nuts. It took like literally almost 10 years to make the movie. Longer. Wow. It really started in what, 1997 or 98, and then went to 2010. But it changed greatly in the first like 5 years. It changed.
Wow.
I was telling Jeff before we were recording that probably the making of the story is a lot better than the actual movie.
You could write up like a pretty entertaining book about how it started and what became of it. Yeah.
Like Sean was right. So many people quit and came back. Like it was on a shelf. It was like on a shelf for years.
People
I wasn't an editor at the time, so
all that shit. I can relate to all that shit. Well, as a matter of fact, speaking of the Bouncing Souls, I had so both Brian and Pete are in my movie, which is about the Misfits, and I interviewed them in 2010. And I went down to Kate's house down by the shore, right? Yeah. Isn't that Kate's house? That house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it wasn't their houses; it was Kate's house. And I interviewed them on the porch.
That's the Chunksaw house, right?
Yeah, right. I think that's the house. Yeah. And I interviewed them on the porch, and they were super cool. And Brian gave me the numbers to these other musicians, punk musicians. He's like, "Oh, you should interview him about the Misfits. He's just like such a."
That's who they are, man.
Yeah, you know what? You never met like a group of people who like helped out more and wanted to like move you along and help you, you know, get to the next level. And it's like. And I guess they're like that too, because, you know, they have their own record label and they put their friends on the label and stuff. But
they're DIY all the way.
But any fan can come up to them and they'll get their phone number. They'll call them. Like, they'll just be like, are we going to see you when we come to town? It's fucking crazy how sweet they are and how like open they are.
That's a band that really made their success from just the grinding of touring and expanding the web of their tour to include these cities and these cities and more people, and just touring and just, you know, I've seen a couple of bands whose stories begin that way, and that's how, I mean, you just got to give it your all. You got to go out there and just do it. You know, you can't. It's just.
But it's funny because like you go to their shows when you're a kid, and you know you'll see them outside smoking, or you'll hang out with them outside and be like, yeah, they're really cool. And then like you'll wait 3 months, and then you'll go see them again, or they'll come to your town again, and you see them hanging out, and they're like, they're never gonna remember me. I'll go say hi, but they're never gonna fucking remember me. They've probably had this same encounter 1,000 times since I last saw them 3 months ago.
Which they did, which they most certainly have.
But the minute you walk up to them, hey, dude, what's up? Like, glad you came here. They remember you. They fucking remember your face or something. At least they knew who you were. and then the next time they know your name. It's like they're able to fucking remember that stuff. Is like, what's going on here? You know.
The best thing about that show, the last time I had seen the Souls, they played SUNY Purchase in 2003. I'd seen them there.
I was there.
Went out to. Oh, you were there at that too?
Was it Sonic Youth? Were they opening for Sonic Youth?
No, this was. I don't think so. I don't think Sonic Youth was there, but it was at SUNY Purchase.
It was just Thurston Moore. I did see them at Purchase around that time.
Yeah, Thurston Moore was there, not Sonic Youth.
I peed next to Thurston Moore, and I've never felt so small because he's like 7 feet tall. Really? And we both looked at each other. We both looked over the urinal, and he was like, "I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry." And I'm like, "Hey, not so bad. Not bad, Thurston Moore." No, that didn't happen. We did be next to each other.
That was a great show. I mean, that was a great show. But I didn't really remember much of it. And then when I had seen them, when I bumped into you, Pete, and the thing that stood out to me, two things that really made me happy about that show. One, like I said, I don't know the deep cuts of Bouncing Souls. I know I've probably listened through all the albums at least once in my life. And I know some of their like more popular songs, but the thing that I loved about that show was they played, there were probably like 12 or 14 songs that I wanted to make. I desperately wanted to hear. They played every single one of them. It was like they were reading my mind. That was number one. And number two, freaking Greg is the coolest frontman ever because he just has this like swagger to him. He has such like he has this confidence, but it's like everyday man confidence. It's not like rock star confidence. It's like there's like a humility to it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's so infectious to watch him.
That's his personality, man. That's exactly. And there's no secrets. Like you see him smiling through the whole show.
He's doing this with the mic. He's doing this like baseball bat thing. That's so cool.
Yeah. He's smiling through the whole thing. Yeah. It's because he fucking loves it. He loves what he's doing. And
they all still do, right?
I mean, after 32 years,
32 years,
they're still the same. Like as much as they're inclusive and they invite everyone in on when they're on stage, that's how they are in real life. They meet you and they invite you into their family. Like that's how, like just building up what Sean said. They remember you. They build you. They include you in their family.
Yeah, they invited us to the chunks at Kate's house for.
We slept on the floor. It was like don't drive back to Long Island. Just sleep over here.
And they were like, "Hey, we're having."
That's who they are, though. But that's how they tour.
That's only after meeting them like 2 or 3 times. We met them like maybe 2 or 3 times.
I don't even know why we went there. They were like, "Come hang out" or something, and it was like,
"Yeah, come hang out." They actually brought us. I don't know if you remember, Sean, that they bought us breakfast the next day.
Yeah, we were like awkward, like quiet at the end of.
You don't have any money, and then Brian's like, "I got you guys. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
you didn't have any money.
Yeah, we didn't have any money. We didn't want to be like, no, we're not going to come to breakfast, But so we were like, okay, and we didn't know how we were going to get out of not paying.
Right. Right.
I got one story just before. I don't know if we're going to keep talking about the Souls, but I still remember one thing that Brian told me that kind of kept me going when it was hard making Freaks Nerds. I remember like they came to our town. They came to Syosset, Long Island, and he saw us sitting in a diner. He joined us. He sat down and like we were just talking. And he's like, "How's the movie come along?" Because he knew it was taking like 10 years. And then he's like, "How's it coming along?" And every time he saw us until it was done, he was like, "How's it coming along? How's it coming along? How you guys doing?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I just said, I don't feel like a real filmmaker. I don't know what I'm doing." And I was just like, "I see you guys. Like, how did you guys do it? Like you guys did it on your own." Like they just released a documentary about their first 15 years.
I've seen that. I have seen
it's
that.
Incredible. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. I saw that at my friend Melissa's house.
That came out. Remember? It's called.
Yeah, that probably came out in
15 years ago.
Late 90s.
No, 2002, 2003, 2003.
Yes. Okay. No. You're right. 2000. It would be 2003. Sorry, dating. Yes. No. It would be 2003. I watched that at my friend Melissa's house. Great documentary.
So after watching that, I was like, "Damn! How did you guys do it?" I wish I was like you. I wish you wanted to do something. You made it. You made all this music. I wish I said, "Should I go back to school? If I want to be a filmmaker, should I go back to school?" And he just said this one thing. He's like, "You're making a film. You're a fucking filmmaker. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You're doing it, and And so that's who you are. And that's all I've thought about for the last 15 years. Like,
yeah, it's like, why not, if you're making a film, why not call yourself a filmmaker? You know,
don't be scared. Don't be ashamed to call yourself what you want to be.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing it, as long as you're making it, or even if you're aspiring to do it, then that's what you are.
Yeah. Don't feel like you're calling yourself something you're not. Don't be like, you're not a fucking poser or something. You're doing it.
Poser.
A lot of other people aren't doing it.
Posers don't die.
Posers don't die, man. No, it's funny. I have good friends.
You don't want to work for that role.
It makes me feel really good that I have some of the friends that I have, because I am that guy who's, it's not that I'm embarrassed. I just like, it doesn't, I don't know how, it just sounds weird coming out of my mouth. So it's like, what do you do? And I go, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm a filmmaker. It's like a weird thing for me to say. And so I just generally, I don't know. I usually dance around it. I am that guy, but I have friends, and it's the most beautiful thing when it's happened. It is a really, you guys saying this right now makes me realize it in that they go, no, that's not, no, he's being, no. He's being modest. Jeff makes movies, and he's made this movie and that movie. And it makes me feel so good, because it makes me feel, it makes the work that I try to do, that I strive to do, it makes it feel validated in a way that I'm not, maybe it's my own self-esteem. I don't know what it is, but it's an amazing, and I do believe that though, 100%, there is no aspiring filmmaker. You either are out there doing it or you haven't done it yet, but there's no aspiring. I hate the word aspiring, either doing it or not. But if I'm in like the real world, the regular world, and someone, high school reunion, I just feel weird. I just like, it's like, I'm a filmmaker,
this thing that we need to call ourselves, we need to identify who we are by like what we get paid for. That comes from our parents, dude. That comes from a generation before us. That doesn't really matter anymore. Like that's such a hard thing that like people of our age have to break. But I think the generation after us is already learned that, I don't need to call myself, what I get paid.
Grocery packer.
That's a fucking antiquated thing. That doesn't really.
The next generation already knows how to brand themselves.
Yeah. That's something that's left over from boomers.
Instantly.
You guys are blowing my minds right now at this. I'm serious, like truly blowing my minds, because this is the thing that I struggle with this. I truly do. I struggle with it. And it definitely has to do with self-esteem. It definitely has to do with, it has nothing to do with confidence, in the sense that I have no problem being like, I'm working this fucking soul-sucking job because I know it's going to help me make my movie. That I've got all figured out. I get that.
Well, like Pete said, like you live in an age right now where you can call yourself whatever you want, and it's a reality. You can change anything you are at any moment. I mean, not only on your fucking, your Instagram, whatever, but anytime you want, you can rebrand yourself. You can call yourself whatever you want. It doesn't fucking matter. Most people don't care, so it's like everybody's involved with themselves.
That's right.
But Jeff, like say you go to the dentist, people, oh, so what do you do? Oh, I make films. Oh, really? Where can I see it? You can say, oh, you can go on Amazon Prime and see my feature film.
It's true.
Why not do that? Why not tell everybody that? Because you never know who's going to say, oh my gosh, my cousin makes films, or my whatever. You guys should connect. And then that's how you grow as that kind of person, that kind of creative person.
Dude, well friggin' said, man. Well said. Because truly, and that's like kind of like where I'm at right now, where I'm just kind of like I'm staring down the gun of another, straight job, and I'm just like, the other part of me is like, bro, just like, don't do it. Just go go into something else. Like try and
you can do that. You can do that, but keep being creative.
Right.
You can do both.
I have a straight job. I have a straight job, so you could still do both.
I've always had straight jobs.
I'm not introducing myself as a multimedia specialist. I introduce myself as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because whatever my business card isn't as cool as what you want to be.
Yeah.
What you really are. So
doesn't need to be, yeah.
I wanted to recommend a movie to you guys on Amazon Prime for your Halloween watching. You have to see, Sean, you probably already know what it is, I bet. You guys have to see Lone Wolf from 1988.
Oh, I did not. Okay, I never heard of it. Lone Wolf?
Oh my God. Lone Wolf. Sean.
88?
You guys are going to, yes, from 1988. It's a werewolf movie. Here's what I'm going to say about it. It's like it's one of those, it's like the height of the late 80s. It's a talk about a band trying to make it as a hair metal band in the club scene. And they all look like they're 45, but they're in high school or college. I don't know which. They have to solve a werewolf mystery using computer programs. But this is like when computers, remember when computers were like you could go to class for computer, like writing, like floppy disks. You know what I mean? Like that
Oregon Trail shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Oregon Trail type shit where they're talking about like computers, like it's this brand new science technology in the class, and they're like weaving like computer exposition into the dialogue. And the main guy, and then the other thing is they all occupy Breakfast Club archetypes because it's right after Breakfast Club. So it's Breakfast Club meets a hair metal band, like trying to solve this mystery of this homicidal werewolf.
That sounds
oh my God, it's
incredible.
Yeah, this is a must watch right here.
This should be on the top of the heap. Must watch. Every line of dialogue is instantaneously like quotable, and you just like, that is it. That is it right there. Yes, please, and please text me. Please text me after you watch it. I wish that you had watched it before we did this, because I would love to just talk with you guys endlessly about how friggin' awesomely bad. I mean, it's like, it's like The Room with like, how lame and cheesy it is. But at the same time, it's like this angsty man teenager who's like living with his aunt because his parents are dead. And he's like, I got to make it big on the scene. And like the band doesn't really play their instruments, but tries to. And like,
that's amazing.
like
okay.
Werewolf,
incredible.
It's gory.
I'm gonna throw you a recommendation that's on Amazon Prime too.
Do it.
Death Metal Zombies. All right.
Okay.
It's
I'm adding it to my queue right now. I'm looking it up.
I think it's 92 shot on video. It's fucking hilarious.
This might have been shot on video too, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh good. Because me and some friends are on a big time SOV kick. So
I think it is SOV. It makes sense because it's that time period, right? It's the late 80s.
Yeah, SOV was actually SOV was pioneered by our friend Shanti, and her parents made a movie called Boarding House.
Yes, definitely check it out.
Oh, you got to see Boarding House too. Oh my God, you got to see
Death Metal Zombies from '95.
Yeah.
How can anyone watch Boarding House? Is it on Amazon or anything?
No, you got to buy the DVD. Yeah, you got to buy the DVD.
For next podcast. We need to have a whole podcast about Boarding House.
Listen, anytime you guys want to come on this show, like, you totally should, because I'm trying to do this as much as I possibly can, because my hope is to just churn these out to and get to a place where I'm just doing, here we go. Hold on. I'm showing you something real quick. Okay, that's good. I wanted to show this to you. I'm just trying to get to a place where I just have content coming out of my ears.
Did we talk about pizza enough? Fuck.
No, that's okay, because it's
okay.
It is what it is.
Here I am. Whoa. Here, follow me for a second.
Where are we going?
Follow me.
Okay, I didn't get the note on the sunglasses either. Oh my God! Look. Oh shit! Yeah, look. See that? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought you would appreciate that.
Yes, I love it.
That's all I stuffed the boxes.
Was that the 2014?
Oh, yeah,
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. So just mute that. All right, now I should be. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah, no, it's yeah, dude. Those were from 2014, and these were also from 2014. And what I did was I just stuffed them. I enjoyed the cereal, and I stuffed the boxes because I was just like, I have to have that. Here's another one. Here's one that you may or may not have for your collection. This is That's Black Roses.
Oh my God, that movie is fucking awesome. That's fantastic. That movie's amazing.
That was rescued from my local video store before it died. Oh, this too.
That Black Roses has like the vacuum formed cover, right? It's got the 3D cover.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you could see it. Look, it's raised up.
I remember renting it and being like the Dead Pit also had that, like that raised plastic.
Yeah, dude. It actually kind of broke a little bit, but that's how I discovered that movie, was that very box. And then remember Bleeders?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Bleeders, yes.
The goo cover.
Oh, you got a nice collection there too. Yeah,
dude. I got some stuff. Yeah, I got a little something, and then I got I don't know. I have a tiny collection. I just wanted to show you that. I thought you'd appreciate that. Here's my toys.
I love it.
Those are some of my toys. I don't have a lot, but
there you go. Yeah.
See, you
have the room where you got to warn people, like, look, you're going to see some geeky shit. You're going to see some weird shit.
It's more about, and you know what? Anybody who comes in here, it's totally fine. It's more about the mess, where I'm just like, guys, it's so messy here. You know, that's
This is so weird. So meta.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Jeff, there's too many Jeffs. Okay.
Angles.
Too many. I have a recommendation for you guys before we go, because I felt left out. There's a movie called Love Actually.
Dude, with Clive Owen.
Never heard of
the guy from Darkman. It's got the guy from Die Hard. So it's on Amazon. You could rent it on Amazon. It's Christmas time is almost coming, so you could check it out if you want. Who else is in it? There's so many. Martin Freeman.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna end this now.
You guys hear me? Is everything all right? Okay.
Jeff, so
yeah, no. I just wanted to say, one last thing before we go. I am on a mission now to watch every single Nicolas Cage film ever made. There's 121 Nicolas Cage films. I've seen about 45. This is a never-ending quest. I'm going to watch them all. I'm sorry.
What order are you?
Whatever catches my fancy. There are some super iconic ones that I've never seen, and people are like, "What? You're a Nick Cage fan? You've never seen it?" True, but like I'm in no rush per se.
Well, like
I like a lot of
Moonstruck.
I'm sorry.
You ever see Moonstruck?
Like, for instance, I have never seen Moonstruck, but I have seen Trapped in Paradise. Okay. I have seen Valley Girl. I have seen Trapped in Paradise is a great one. I like that one.
Oh man.
I want to recommend A Score to Settle. You have to see this film. I'm going to text you both why you have to watch this film. It's one scene at the end. It doesn't spoil anything because it's direct to Nicolas Cage video thing. You can't.
Yeah, that sounds like it's like a 4 or 5 year old like movie of the Cage movie of the week, right?
Is he teamed up with a rapper solving a mystery?
All I'm going to say is that it combines the plot of The Sixth Sense with revenge. I just watch. You have to see this Cage film. Okay. He goes so. I think this film captures him in a scene, because I'm going. What is the most Cage scene of all time? Of all the Cage scenes, what is the cagiest scene he's ever done? And this movie is it. He's just like beef. Saying beef over and over again, and I'm just like, I couldn't believe this was a real scene from a real movie. It's even more cagey than when he shot a monkey with a blow dart gun in Primal. That was amazing.
Well, what if I think the movie's Never on Tuesday, the Adam Rifkin movie?
I've seen that scene, but I've not seen the movie.
So that's a very Cage. That's a top Cage scene.
I don't know if anybody wanted a ride.
He's got the nose prosthetic that's like this big for no reason whatsoever.
He plays Fu Manchu in Grindhouse too, which a lot of people forget. That's pretty gnarly.
The SS Nazis, werewolf Nazis,
right, werewolf woman of the SS or something. Listen, guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you for giving me 2 hours on the nose. That's like great. I'm really happy. You definitely have to come back another time when some time has passed. We'll have you on again. Friggin' keep trucking through these hard times, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thanks so much, man. This was so much fun. And just got one more thing to say.
Please.
Don't vote. don't vote whatsoever. Don't do it.
God. Well,
Hey,
you heard it from Sean. Don't vote, everybody.
Vote, guys.
A turd sandwich or what is it from South Park? I voted, by the way, but I wish you had told me before.
Don't do it. Don't buckle under peer pressure. Do not vote.
Okay.
No matter what handsome or beautiful celebrity says, it's important to not have a voice.
That's right.
Right. No voice, people.
No voice.
Do not have a voice.
Shut up. Zip.
Just